When the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
Welcome to the best soccer show, the best soccer show in the whole world.
Dos a Cero. Welcome to the best soccer show. Jason Davis, Jared DuBois. There was no other way to introduce this program this evening, especially considering that I missed most of the fun on Friday night as the United States beat Mexico. Dos a Cero, Jared.
Shout out to Nikki Soup and Salad.
Yes, let's all first of all give a round of applause to Nikki Soup and Salad and to Connor, who manned the telephone lines on Friday night. Thanks to all the besties who joined you guys and got in on that show and gave their thoughts and celebrated a Dos a Cero, the return of Dos a Cero. And now we're here. We get to talk about that. We get to look ahead to Jamaica, Jared. There are some complications. You know, that was a fun night. There was reason to celebrate, but 2 players are now suspended for the game against the Reggae Boys. And I don't know if you know this, but they've got some firepower over there. And they might be bringing it a little bit. So we're going to see how this goes.
They got a few pieces over there that you need to worry about. So let's just say speed in the back for the U.S. is important.
Yes, that's a little bit of a concern here. All right, so we'll get to Jamaica. I do want to talk about what we witnessed on Friday night in Cincinnati. I got a couple of things to get to. We'll talk about the Mexican reaction because that's always fun when they lose any soccer match to anybody else in Concacaf.
Let alone the U.S.
Let alone the United States of America. There's a little bit of a complex, you know. It's a complicated relationship, Jared. I don't know if
it's like they only see themselves when, like, looking in the mirror at us.
Oh, this is what I failed to do. I prepared some
things.
You
didn't drop it?
I didn't bring man in the mirror to the table.
It's okay. I don't think we can afford to be taken to lawsuit over this. The Jackson family doesn't mess around.
As long as we don't have like more than 30 seconds of the song without interruption, without commentary on top of it, we're okay. I mean, that's the law.
That's good.
As far as
I can't go
aware.
more than 30 seconds without talking, so we're never going to be in trouble.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else. Then I was like, wow, that's a problem. Can't go more than 30 seconds. What do I not need to know about Jared DuBois on this Sunday night? All right, I'll get to the Mexican reaction. I did bring a new. I can't believe I forgot about Man in the Mirror, but I did bring a new drop to the table. I don't know if you're gonna like this. Okay. So obviously ESPN had coverage of the game on Friday night. So we got Taylor Twellman and John Champion. John Champion did a very good job. I like him as a broadcaster. I still think it's weird we got an English dude broadcasting U.S. men's national team games. But whatever. We had Ian Dark. Now we got John Champion. They're both class guys. I know they like the team. They like the vibe of it all. They did a good job. Twellman and Champion. But obviously CBS is doing their own thing over on Paramount Plus and CBS Sports Network or whatever, the Golasso and all of that. And you still have, even though, and they were covering the other games around Concacaf because they have all of those rights in the United States for all those other matches. So Canada beating Costa Rica was over there on Paramount Plus. It's Gooch, it's Deuce, and it's Davies, right? And then you get the why am I blanking on the host's name? What's her name?
Kate Abdo.
Kate Abdo. Thank you very much to Nikki Soup and Salad for that. Kate Abdo kind of trying to corral all these people, right? And I forgot about Marisa Dew. He was also there. So this is like just a collaboration of interesting individuals, all personalities. And I went back and I found the full highlights with their commentary for the U.S. win. And they showed clips of Marisa Dew jumping out of his seat, you know, when Pulisic scores and Gooch is getting excited and Deuce.
That is my favorite thing about that is the player reactions of the guys that I loved watching back in the day, you know?
Yes, right. It was you got to see them react as former players as their team did this thing. And look, I mean, I don't think any of them were involved in 2016 or 2017, right? None of them were there when the United States lost to Mexico in Columbus or failed to qualify, right? They were all out of the team on some level. I believe Dempsey was there. Dempsey was obviously in Trinidad. Yes. So obviously Glenn has a connection to this. So right. They're feeling this, right? They're feeling the emotion of it. And then we get a little bit of Clint Dempsey commentating on Tim Weah's just sick moves to set up the cross for Christian Pulisic. This is the part I clipped. Tell me what you think about this.
It was there.
Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him. What?
What does that even mean?
Hit him. What?
You-
But
I
you
love
know,
that.
what I prefer to think is that this is what Clint Dempsey hears in his head when he was doing moves. Like when he was on the field, in his head, it's jazz. You know, like that. This is what hit him up, sauce it.
Oh, here we go, saucing them up. Hit him. What?
Hit him. What? Like, yes,
Like even when he's comedy, he's got cadence of a rapper right there, man. It's got like tempo.
It's that thing we kept talking about. We've been doing this for years, right? It was this idea of bringing and bringing, playground basketball, pickup basketball attitude to a soccer field, right? Bringing that, and this team has it. And Tim Weah did it. That was what that setup was for Christian Pulisic. He took on 2 Mexican defenders, froze them, got to the inline or got around enough to put in a perfect cross for that run. Now, it was pointed out by Taylor Twellman on the broadcast that neither Pepe, I think it was McKennie was the other, or maybe Aronson. No, Aronson wasn't on the field because Pulisic was. It must have been McKennie, right? Neither one of them made that run. Neither one of them tried to get in front of that ball and get to the ball ahead of the Mexican defender. And maybe you can't have 2 players making the same run, right?
No.
You would have a problem there. So it's good that only Pulisic made the run, but what a ball. What a ball. Timmy Weah.
It's fantastic. And the thing about that ball is the pace that was on it. Pulisic didn't have to do anything. No. I'm not wrong. He didn't have to do anything other than just get his head on it. He had to redirect. He didn't have to generate any power, which is oftentimes where things go wrong when someone's trying to shoot with their head. All he had to do was redeflect the pace of the ball towards the net. Beautiful, beautiful service.
What I love about that goal, too, is that is not a classic Christian Pulisic goal. Like, we don't expect Christian Pulisic to score that goal, but he is that good of a soccer player. I'm not going to put him on world class, okay? Don't come at me with this. Oh, he doesn't rate with the best. I'm not saying that he does, but he's good enough. He's good enough to play in a Champions League winning team and get significant minutes and be a factor there. And they want him back, and they don't want him to get hurt on the national team duty. He's got that extra level, right? And maybe Brendan Aronson develops that one day as an attacking player. Maybe
good enough that, according to CBS Sports, Barcelona's interested in him.
That's also a rumor that's bouncing around. I don't even know if I want to entertain that, right? I don't even know.
Just saying,
it's
out there.
But again, he might not in Chelsea's team. That may not be the run he makes. That may not be the goal he scores. But he has the ability to recognize in that moment where that ball's going, who's got it at his feet, where the ball might end up. I mean, this is what I was going to get to. Thanks to Nick Murray, Pulisic's first headed goal for the U.S. men's national team, and I believe he has 17 goals for the United States now. His first headed goal. So, and not that he wasn't capable of it before, but the moment didn't call for it, or
if I think about even with Chelsea, I think the only time he had a goal was when he had the full rotation. Remember, he had a left foot goal, right foot goal, and he had the hat trick with the head as well. I think it's one of the only times that I remember having a headed goal with Chelsea.
I remember that hat trick. Yeah, that may be the thing. All right, you want to go straight to the phone lines? We have to have phone lines. 717-237-237. I haven't switched over from
WNBC?
From WNBC.
WNBC.
I'm sorry.
WNBC.
Too many phone numbers living in my head. 717-727-2378 is the phone number. If you missed out on Friday night, if you didn't get a chance to call Nikki Soup and Sausage and Jared, J. Rodius, now's the time to call and to talk about that game and your reaction. And straight off the bat, our man Mike in Philly, a man who's got this in his repertoire and who traveled to the game in Cincinnati, Ohio, is on the line. Mike, what's up?
Yo, guys, what's going on? I really just called to say I'm still buzzing from the other night. It was an absolutely incredible experience end to end. I'll be honest, and Jared, I know you're critical of Cincinnati. It exceeded all of my expectations as a first-time traveler to that city. I had a fantastic time. The city was beautiful, really cool to walk around and explore. But at the game itself, I met up with some of her besties down there. Definitely shouts to Allison for letting me glob on for her good friend.
Eric?
Mike, your phone is a disaster, man. What's happening? The phone is not helping
you.
Mike, here's what I want to know.
This is a brand new phone.
Mike,
All right.
Mike, here's what I want to know, though. I want to know, there was a lot of talk back and forth. You were there, okay? What was that atmosphere like? Because with Jason and I and Nick, we were talking about it. It sounded fantastic over the air. You know,
there's a shot of our
picture,
besties.
picture of the besties up right now on the YouTube.
I think
stream.
you guys threw that
wanna
up on
see
the
it.
post-game show. Yeah, we had some of the besties gather. in
And
Cincinnati.
I just want to know, from someone that was there and as someone who's been to multiple U.S. national team games, where did this one rate from an atmosphere perspective inside the stadium?
So this was my first true World Cup qualifier, and I'd been to a USA Mexico game before. I'd been to a bunch of other U.S. games before. This was the first one I truly feel like there was a true home field, at least as far as games I've been to. It was electric end to end. It was the best soccer atmosphere, club or country, that I've ever been to. It was unreal, and I loved every second of it. It was awesome.
Freddie, who was in attendance in that picture, is backing up his boy Mike and saying that he's on board with all of that. This is a question.
Freddie, who bled for the U.S. team this week. I mean, my man fell on a grate at the game and blood all over his pants. Bled for the red, white, and blue. Good job, Freddie.
Here's the question, and I'll put this to Mike since he's on the line and he was there and he saw that atmosphere. I had this tweet in my timeline when I was just checking it a little while ago. Someone suggesting, and I think they tagged Nick in this as well because obviously he's biased, the question of, should Cincinnati just be our Wembley now? Should we just go ahead and give
after one game?
This is what was suggested.
I say, why don't you just make what we seem to be doing is just making Ohio our Wembley. And if that's what we're going to do, that's fine. So, like, move it around a little bit. Columbus gets one. Cincinnati gets one. Dirty Toledo gets like a U23 game. I don't know. So
do they even have a stadium capable of hosting a U23 game?
I'm
I don't even
sure
know
that there's a college or something like that.
Cleveland's got a big football stadium. I'm sure they could host something. They hosted the U.S. Women not that long ago. I'm sure Cleveland could do a decent job.
Is Ohio the U.S. soccer's state of choice? Is that the most soccer state in America? Ohio.
Interesting. Well, they don't produce the most players, but there
or edible food.
Well, there's certainly more sort of consistent, like the breadth of national team history in Ohio is way thicker than anywhere else in the country, right? I mean, look, we've had qualifiers in other places. We've had momentous occasions at RFK Stadium, which isn't going to exist
I want to bring
anymore.
this up, and Kevin Adams put it up here right now. That national team, national anthem, I feel, okay, first of all, I felt bad for the guy who was trying to sing because the crowd was on a different pace, and that's always the way it is because the video is always slightly different than the audio in the stadium. I want to go back to, like, remember there was a Portland game, I think. It was one of the MLS games, I think, in Portland, where a singer started and just did the first verse to get it going, and then the crowd did the rest. I think we need to go back to that for these big games, the Columbuses and the Cincinnati's.
Here's the problem. You can't hire or you can't select an anthem singer and, like, have it in your head that the crowd is going to be good enough or on target enough to sing the rest of it the way that we set up "O Canada," whatever. Like, and the anthem, that's his moment, right? He's on national television. He's got the mic.
Well, get a guy that doesn't care about it then. Like, just like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like, to me, I want that to be kind of our thing. Because, listen, as the U.S., we hear our anthem at the Olympics constantly. It's always getting played. We are, like, in love with our anthem, unlike a lot of other countries. Why don't we just do one thing differently than the rest of the world, and we just have the crowd sing it?
And I think we all basically agree that there only have been two people in the history of the world who have sung, the history of our country and sports, who have sung the national anthem worthy of just letting them sing the whole thing and belt it out. And it's Marvin Gaye and Whitney Houston. That's it. That's the list. Or have somebody play it on the guitar the way that Jimi Hendrix did. That's it. Those are the three options, or the crowd sings.
Okay, let's do it that way. Have a guitar player come in and just, like, start it off, and then the crowd takes it. I just know that every American knows the words to this song. It is in our DNA, and we love singing it. You know, we love playing for every game we do in every sports. Why don't we just do this? This would just be the American thing. We just sing our anthem.
Yeah, look, I think, and again, I think if sort of, it's subjective, but I'm not saying that our anthem is the best. But if people sing it, it does have that power. And yeah, let's maybe do it. So the idea of Cincinnati as the permanent home of the U.S. men's national team in meaningful games and qualifiers is basically what we're saying, is probably a non-starter because there's no way U.S. soccer is going to do that. But even considering it, like, you know, part of the reason the atmosphere was great, and I credit everybody who went, all the U.S. supporters who showed up, who traveled from all over the place. But, and Connor said it earlier, I don't have the comment in front of me now, but Connor said it's the whitest soccer state. He basically said the reason why this happened with U.S. support is because U.S. Soccer used this site and their ticket distribution program to make sure of that crowd. Now, again, I'm okay. All is fair in love and qualifying. I'm completely okay with it. But there are people who say, look, this is kind of racist of you to like basically say, well, we don't want any Hispanics in town because then they might root for Mexico. That gets a little dicey, Jared.
Okay, but okay only because it's national teams playing them. Because first of all, ethnicity and nationality and race are two different things. Let's first of all separate that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then it's not like teams have ever not made it hard for other teams to get tickets when it's not national teams.
I know. Look, again,
me personally, I'm over it, kind of. You know.
Okay. Again, the one of the issues is a price point. One of the issues again is the way the tickets are distributed. I'm just telling you that there is a criticism of U.S. Soccer's approach to this. I'm sure that at Soccer House they have no problem because they got those Cero.
So what about this? What if there were? Let's say that there was enough AO, Barra, and Sam's Army, that there was enough supporters groups that they would only open up the tickets to those groups. Let's say, would that be unfair if you sold the entire stadium just to those groups and guaranteed? And just made sure you had a fully home crowd? Is that a bad thing?
I don't know. I have to think about that. That's too deep for me right now. I don't get it. They got 4 callers lined up. Let's get to these people. Let them get on the air.
All right.
Randall in Florida. You're on the Best Soccer Show. Randall, what's up?
Great name.
Nothing much, guys. Good to hear from you again. Go Cero, strikes again.
Nice.
What you got?
I love watching the MMA line. It's a great midfield line, and they're only going to get stronger. But here's the $1 million question. We know Giovanni Reyna is probably going to end up going into defense. He's playing it in Dortmund, and he does it well. So what's going to happen to the line once he comes back?
Oh, well, he's not going to play there. He's not going to play there.
In midfield?
Yeah, he's not going to play in midfield, is he? You think
I don't know. I mean, if Tim Weah looks like this for a couple of games in a row.
Oof. Okay, so let's put aside
very different players. Very different players. Of course.
Let's put it, and that's why I have no problem saying that this is not. It may not be a straight platoon. I still think Gio Reyna's ceiling is higher than Tim Weah's. Agreed. But they're different players. They do different things. I don't think that I'm expecting Giovanni Reyna to shake 2 defenders, get to the end line, and put that cross in to set up Christian Pulisic. That's not his game.
I also don't know that I'm expecting Gio Reyna to do what Musa's doing and break lines and turn to the midfield and on the half turn. You know,
but there may be situations where, okay, I say he's not going to play in midfield. That's probably not right. He could play in midfield in situations, right? And obviously he can play out on the right wing in situations. This is not going to be, here's our first 11, and we play it against every team we face. If they're all healthy, they're in there. There's no changes at all. I know people don't like it when Greg tinkers, and I don't either, but there's a way to make sure that you're still taking advantage of the talent you have without enshrining somebody like Gio Reyna as a starter in every lineup, or saying that Tim Weah has suddenly become a must-play player in every situation, because that ain't true. That's not how this works.
Different. I think you're right. It is going to be a situational decision, and I'll put this up here from Wes Nickens again. And he puts against a low block, Gio will be needed in the middle. So, or even I would even put it against a low block, even in that front forward position, because what Tim Weah gives you is the ability to get behind a defense. If a defense is bunkering, you have to break them down with passing and space, like exposing space, and which I think is better. Which is far more Gio's strength than Tim Weah's strength. So when Mexico, who's not afraid against the U.S. and is going to play further up the field and to have space behind the fullbacks, that's where Tim Weah's bread and butter is. He's going to try to force that through in the combination with Musa as well, whereas Gio's going to try to unlock a defense.
I think that's exactly right. And I think that you are going to come into every match thinking, how do we set up to take advantage of what we think they're going to do? Now, sometimes you'll get thrown a curveball and they'll do something completely different, and then you've got to adjust. And that may be a halftime substitution, or it may be an adjustment tactically. And I think that, look, even though Gio Reyna has a skill set, that means you want him in those pockets, head up, looking for the pass, playing 1 and 2 touch combinations. It doesn't mean that he can't also stretch the back line
This
on
is
occasion.
a tough conversation. This is a tough thing for American fans, I think, because I think we are used to thinking, because of the teams we've had in the past, there's a best 11. That's the right 11 for every game, because that's the way it's been in the past. We've only had sometimes 11 to 13 players that were good enough to start for this team. And now you're seeing that as the pool's getting deeper and the players are getting better, you have situational lineups now where Gio Reyna may not start every game. You may only have Christian Pulisic and maybe Ricardo Pepi. We'll see how he ends up doing. Because Pepi doesn't have anyone pushing him. That's why I'm putting that name up. Pulisic might be one of your only guys. Tyler Adams might be one of your only guys. And everyone else around is situational to the team you're playing against.
I think that's exactly right. And that's fine, right? And again, so let's take the Jamaica game as an example. Now, obviously, Gio is hurt. He's not here. Maybe Tim Weah is the right choice to go and start again because he had a great game against Mexico. I don't know. You could certainly argue that maybe Jamaica is going to sit deeper. Does that play to Weah's strengths? Do you have somebody else who can step in that position? Obviously, Brendan Aronson went 65 before spelled by Pulisic. I don't think Pulisic starting in this game, right? But you also have this suspension for Weston McKennie via the yellow cards. You have an option. I'm not saying it's a Weston McKennie level option, but you have options now. You have a way you can plug Gianluca Busio in there. I hope it's him, and go. And it's not as though everything has to change. And again, maybe they're slightly different players, and you adjust to that.
Honestly, are you sweating much? Are you sweating much that? I mean, I know we're going to get to Jamaica in a bit, but are you sweating that much really that Miles Robinson and McKennie aren't there for the Jamaica game?
The Miles one is a little bit tougher for me. I think the Miles one scares me a little bit more, but I think I'm okay with Busio. I mean, I know speed is going to be a factor here. He's not necessarily the most physical player, but I think he's going to be capable of handling this. And again, if Gianluca Busio in that position, being the passer that he is against a Jamaica team that might put 8 or 9 players behind the ball, okay, let's see what Gianluca can do.
I want to talk about this one real quick. This is Art Official Joe will put this up here. In the next South Africa for 2026, Gio can move to the 10. I think there's a flaw in that thinking. Not in that he couldn't do the job or something like that. The 10 doesn't exist anymore.
10 does not exist.
It does not exist anymore. Unless something changes in the next 5 years in terms of professional football and the way coaches think, Greg Berhalter will never have a 10. The 10 is a bygone era.
You're going to have, and again, he originally conceived of this 4-3-3 with the McKennie and Musa players as nominal 10s, but neither one of those guys is going to be foot on the ball, pick his head up, unlock a defense, right? That's not what they do, and that's okay because there are other options in that regard. Again, if you have width the way that they did against Mexico with Tim Weah over there, with Brendan Aronson, you don't necessarily need that player. You have players that, in Musa's case, break lines with the ball at his feet. In Weston McKennie's case, is just a menace. He's Tasmanian devil. He'll make those runs that scare the crap out of center backs because there's an extra body. I mean, not that he should have scored, but he had an incredible chance on that cutback, right? There are moments when FC McKennie's going to be 12 yards from the goal with the ball at his feet and nobody in front of him, and that's what you want. And again, I think that midfield three with Adams clearly as the defensive guy, those two players are going to occasionally be 10 type players or 10-ish players, if you want to say it that way. And by the way, let me just point this up. If Gianluca Busio starts against Jamaica and Adams is there and Musa is there, then it's not MMA, but it's Bam. And I'm okay with Bam.
Bam, bam.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. All right. Phone lines or Randall's still there. I'm sorry, Randall. You got anything else to
add? Given how much issue Mexico had against us with the wingers, how much damage do you think Canada's going to do to them on Tuesday?
It's going to be cold, too. They're going to freeze them out in Edmonton. It's going to be wild. I'm going to let you go, Randall. I appreciate the call. It's going to be interesting. I think Tata's going to be coaching for his job on Tuesday. He's going to be coaching for his job.
It's kind of messed up that they're basically tied for first place and only goal differentials keep aside, and he's not. But that's the expectations that go with Mexico, unfortunately. You bring up the Edmonton thing, and I believe Canada is still not said where the U.S. will be playing them.
They have not determined that yet, no.
This is some next-level gamesmanship that's going on for it. I'm here for it. Forcing the U.S. to not decide. It's like a game of international chicken going on right now. The U.S. is not saying where their fixtures are going to be because they don't know where they're going to be playing in Canada during that window. So there's rumors of San Jose, a California kind of move, if they play in Vancouver. But what if they take it to the East Coast? Who blinks first?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Is that really a thing though?
But shouldn't this all have to be decided ahead of time? Why are we getting this close without people having it? Because just to me, you should announce your full fixture list before World Cup qualifying starts.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't think you can necessarily logistically expect that, 8 months out or whatever. But hey,
why not? We plan schedules that for teams, the seasons that way.
Well, here's the thing: there are, as far as I'm aware, there are only 2 countries in Concacaf who bounce their qualifiers around: Canada and the United States. Mexico doesn't do it; they play everything at the Azteca. Costa Rica's got 1 spot. Honduras has got 1 spot.
We play everything in Ohio.
That's what you do. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. People are being patient. Felix in Chicago. Nicky Soup and Sausage was here for a moment. I got a peek at him. Oh, Nick. Before we get to Felix, hold on a second. Nick is throwing up some images here on the video feed. If you're watching, these are the headlines out of Mexico after the Cero in Cincinnati. This one says, "Welcome the new giant," and the other one says, "Papa." You don't need me to explain Papa and son. So father and son.
I take it as daddy and son.
Sure, you can take it that way. It's got a little bit. It's got a little bit of that. Who's your daddy kind of vibe, doesn't it?
This is the pressure we're talking about with Tata. This is what's running in the papers the next day, and the Mexican fans. Listen, first of all, the Mexican press is going to miss an opportunity to sell some papers.
No, absolutely not.
And put some pressure on it. It's great for selling. I don't know if people even sell papers for clicking on things. But from an American perspective, waking up the next day and going out and searching these things is next level amazing. It's the greatest kind of trolling there is out there. I love that the Mexican media is out and they're putting so much pressure on the players right now, and I really want to see what Mexico does to respond to this.
Yeah, back on the Canada home fixture in Canada against the United States. Nick is pointing out, and I saw these rumors as well. Potential for the Canada game to be played in Toronto because the European-based Canadian players don't want to go all the way to Vancouver for a qualifier. And I think Canada they have to think about these players now they got all these European-based players. You can't piss off Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies, right? So they may play in Toronto. That benefits the United States. Let's be frank about it.
I'm surprised Davies wouldn't want to go back to Vancouver. That's a homecoming for him.
Edmonton's homecoming for him. He's from Edmonton.
He played in Vancouver, though.
Okay, both. But he's also getting a homecoming right now, so he could
That's
also
true.
that. Okay, let's go to Felix, who's been waiting. Felix, you're on the Best Soccer Show. What's up?
Hey, guys. First thing, it was an interesting topic you guys kind of got into on the 10 and how the 10 it's becoming like the sweeper of soccer, right? It's becoming an antiquated position. I think that's an interesting thing that you guys kind of gotten into, because you'll hear that conversation at times, right? Like put Reina into the midfield and all that. But but I feel like the way soccer is played these days, modern tactics with pressing and counter-pressing, etc., I think you can easily mark out a 10, and then what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm already saying what you guys have already said. So my question is this: to take this into a topic that has gotten a lot of fans fired up, which is, De La Torre not getting called in, or someone I'd like to see get a shot, but I'm not going to get all mad about it, is Alan Senora, who's been playing down in Argentina. Mm-hmm. And then also seeing the inclusion of Buzio on the team. Do you think that's maybe why we're not seeing maybe Senor get called up, or we're not seeing De La Torre get called up, because they're kind of more a traditional 10, and Greg is thinking that player just doesn't work.
De La Torre is not a 10. He's not. De La Torre is more of a Musa type player. I have no problem bringing in De La Torre for that reason if you see him as a backup to Musa. But if you have Buzio, then you kind of are making your choice there, because I don't think you need another one of that player necessarily, right?
I think the real conversation is De La Torre versus Roldan or Leggett. That's the reason De La Torre is not here, is because those two players are.
That's true. That's fair. Right. Yeah.
And I think that's the frustration for a lot of U.S. soccer fans, is that these guys aren't playing anyway. He's not using them.
I wouldn't call in Leggett and Roldan. I wouldn't. It's not me.
One of the two. I would take one of the two, probably.
Okay, maybe one of the two. I think there is, again, those are slightly older players. I do think that matters for something in this particular group. Even if they're not national team legends, they still have been around. They've still been in camps. They still know the lay of the land. I think that matters. And then you have role-specific stuff. Now Leggett, I'd be fine with Leggett never playing a meaningful game again after what happened in Panama. Now, that's maybe not fair because everybody stunk and Greg screwed up by rotating 7 players. but I don't think he's the guy anymore in that spot. If you're going to say he's a glue guy or they love him in the locker room or whatever, okay, fine. I know there's the reports of him being
Every
upset
coach gets one.
not celebrating. Roldan is a particular kind of bench player that Berhalter likes to have. Luca De La Torre is not going to come in and wreak havoc by running around like a crazy person for the last 10 minutes of a game, right? He's not going to pop up in spots where you're like, oh, crap, where'd he come from? Christian Roldan does that, even if he's not the most technical player. Even if there are things that Luca De La Torre does much better than Christian Roldan, it's clear to me, again, I wouldn't have him in my team, but it's clear to me he sees a role for Roldan in this group because of those elements of his
and that limits you from bringing the De La Torres or someone. And Sonora, I think, is a different thing where Berhalter has been very slow to bring in new players during the World Cup qualifying cycle. Look at what he's done with Scally. There's players where even Pepe at first. I think Sonora hasn't declared for the U.S. either. I think he has multiple choices. I don't know that
he's not playing for Argentina.
He's not, right? But he also hasn't declared for the U.S.
Okay, all right. Well, we apparently that's happening all over the place with players I've never heard of. I didn't know who Alex Mighton was until last week. Apparently, he's a Nottingham Forest kid who knows Musa and wants to play for the U.S. So, line him up. Let's go. Let's see what happens.
I was thinking about this the other day. When you think about U.S. and Mexico, when they get when they steal an international, it's an American. When the U.S. steals an international, it's an Englishman, a Dutchman. There's a difference there in terms of what you're taking away from somewhere else. I think that's a thing that we don't talk about that often, is that Mexico doesn't ever get that level of a kind of an international steal.
I don't think he was going to play for Argentina either, but Funes Mori got naturalized and plays for Mexico now. I mean, you could argue about that kind of thing too. I mean, it's a little David Regi, but it's not quite David Regi. It's, he was not the player that Funes Mori is, clearly. I'm just saying. All right, we got phone calls, so I want to make sure I get to these people because they've been patiently waiting. Dave, I had Felix, and I didn't drop Felix. Sorry, Felix. I got to move on. Dave from Miami, as I get through these. Sorry, Dave. What's up?
Hey, guys. No problem. Long-time listener. As you could probably tell from my voice, I was at the game in Cincinnati. Long-time USMNT fan since the 90s. And I'm calling because you guys asked earlier in the session about the environment. And I've been at quite a few games, U.S. national games, and by far this was just the best. Not just, on the field performance, but the actual environment. For instance, just not to toot my own horn, but lived in Brazil for about 5 years, lived in Paraguay, lived in Uruguay. I've been to Liberators Cup finals, and my point here is the environment in the stadium was as good as it gets in Argentina and Brazil. Maybe not as violent and scary, but the pulse, the energy, the enthusiasm, people not sitting down. It was probably 15, 20%, Mexican fan base. They started to get Mexico going, and guess what? It would get drowned out by USA. So just calling about the environment. And obviously, what a show Cincinnati put on.
I was having a conversation with, obviously it wasn't in Cincinnati. I do have some FOMO on that game. So, looking at Instagram and seeing all my friends, all my colleagues were there. I was a little disappointed not to be there. But I did get to go to Austin, and I was talking to some people, and they asked me about the Austin stadium and the vibe. And it was a great atmosphere in Austin. And that crowd, that particular Austin crowd who supported the United States on that night against Jamaica.
It didn't come across on the broadcast.
I know. I'm not sure what happened there. It was good. But there's a difference. And I'm not saying that this is the only reason for the difference. But TQL is an enclosed stadium all the way around. That holds noise, right? There's a roof on it, and it's enclosed in all the corners. That matters a lot. Because Austin didn't have that. They got a roof, but they got open corners, and the noise dissipates. So as much as this is about, Cincinnati showed up, and these U.S. national team fans really brought it. Yeah, they did. They also got an assist from a stadium that we don't usually have, and that's more akin to what Europe would have, right? So it just goes to show you that there's a lot of different factors in this, and it's okay to say we want a stadium that's enclosed because it gets damn loud inside.
Yeah, I was thinking about this as Dave was talking. David, as someone who's traveled for the U.S. national team, been to a lot of places, have you been to Columbus before for U.S. Mexico?
No, I do have to say I never got to a U.S. Mexico game in Columbus. So, I don't have that under my belt, but, it was an impressive the enthusiasm, just the energy in the stadium. So I haven't been to U.S., Mexico, and Columbus.
No, I was just hoping if someone that could actually compare the two with the roof. I do think that's a big deal.
If you were there, Jared, you know I were there in 2013. If you're there in the building, it feels intense, it feels vibrant, it feels loud. But again, there's something about, especially on television, how the noise reverberates for a broadcast or even reverberates in the stadium that it just doesn't. It goes up and it disappears. Now you have it around you, but it goes up and it disappears. And you can be in one end of the stadium and not really hear the other side. But I don't think that's true in Cincinnati's situation because, again, everything is bouncing around inside that bowl.
Yeah, I think they definitely cemented their place for a few more of these in the future.
Yeah. Dave, you got anything else?
Yeah. Oh, actually, well, one other thing that an earlier caller was saying about this Mexico game against Canada, I do think that Canada's got the upper hand. Great, they've got a strong team. The temperature is going to be a big factor. And let's not forget one other thing. The January-February round, Mexico's got to play their first games away. Their next two games in that break are against Costa Rica and Panama, and they can't have fans in the stadium.
Yeah.
So those are some things that are interesting. And then one other key point, the U.S. games that round, we obviously played the second of the third game is in Canada. So perhaps a location like Minnesota or some northern part of the West, so it's really cold for Honduras and El Salvador, could be to our benefit. That's all I got to say.
I would like to see Minnesota get a game. I really would. But let's be honest. Mexico's just going to schedule 2 women's games between now and then and get that out of the way.
I think this is specifically about the men's. I think they're being sanctioned specifically for the men's program, and I don't think they can do that workaround.
Thank God.
It just is interesting. They're like, oh, we're handing down this punishment now, and it applies to those games and not the U.S. game. Because, of course, there's no chance they would keep fans out of the Azteca for USA, Mexico, and World Cup qualifying, right? I mean, you could say the timing is like, well, 2 games of the punishment, it's not their fault, but come on, there's some manipulation on some level because that's how Concacaf works, right? That's just how it works.
If speaking of how Concacaf works, there's more and more confirmation that it sounds like VAR is coming through in January, which is just weird to me. How they're going to change change the stakes midway through a qualifying cycle. So
I know you want to talk about Jamaica and preview that just a little bit. I got one more caller on the line. Paul's been waiting. Paul in Illinois, you're on the Best Soccer Show. What's up?
Hey guys, how are you doing?
2-0, Paul. 2-0.
2-0. All right. I was listening to your conversation about the national anthem earlier. Technically, I had 2 things, but I'm going to start with the anthem. If you've never been to a Chicago Blackhawks game, Jim Cornelison is probably one of the best anthem singers in the entire sports landscape. I mean, his Twitter handle is literally Anthem Singer. And you know how Blackhawks fans will cheer during the national anthem. I would love to see him perhaps perform at a U.S. soccer friendly, but I have seen him at a rugby game against the All Blacks and the Wallabies. Those were just as electric at Soldier Field, and obviously Chicago will never host another World Cup qualifying game because of But I would like to hear Jim Cornelison sing the national anthem.
There's a shout.
Soldier Field.
Yeah. Okay. If I knew who he was, I'd back you up. I honestly don't know, but I believe you.
I think the vibe is what we're looking for. I think I understand what you're trying to say, Paul. Go ahead.
And the second thing is, I heard, on the ESPN broadcast that the U.S. soccer team is scoring more so goals in the second half of this year or qualifying round. And obviously stats are not, stats can be pretty deceiving. But do you think this is more of a second half of the game team than, say, first half of the game?
Interesting. All right. I'm going to let you go, Paul, but answer the question.
I don't know why, but it looks that way.
So this is what's hard about this, right? And this is what throws everybody off when it comes to trying to properly assess the job that Berhalter is doing, right? I was on the radio with Dunny on Friday night, and Dunny likes to push back and needle the anti-Berhalter crowd, the Greg out crowd. And he says, look, give the man respect. He beat Mexico for the 3rd time in a calendar year. He did it in a qualifier. 2-0. This is maybe the best game that they've played in a very long time. And I kind of agree with somebody earlier who was saying that ESPN kept hammering that Mexico was better in the first half. It was pretty even in the first half.
They're better for half the first half. Yeah.
They had 2 good chances off of U.S. mistakes, right? They did play out of the press beautifully. That ball that Chucky Lozano had saved by Steffen.
Yeah.
But I think the United States was also good in the moments. The second half, the United States was far and away the better team. So what is that? Is that Berhalter screwed up in the first, Honduras, right? Did he screw up in the first half and he got it right in the second? How do you judge somebody who's that kind of black and white?
It's so weird that this team just has that identity. And if you were to ask me, would you rather have a team to be a first half team or second half team? I don't know what I'd want either. Like, I want it to be a 90-minute team, and that's a hard thing to come through on.
Sure. Emotionally, you want it to be a complete performance. If you're going to have a great half, I guess second is better only because the other team is tiring. This is why they are better, right? Because they run teams into the ground eventually around 65 minutes. And it's not that's fine. Goals in the 80th minute count the same as goals in the 3rd minute, Jared. That's
agreed. But
right?
I think we're just thinking about what the U.S. is going to do. I feel like I would rather the U.S. be a first half team because it's incredibly hard to play from behind. And that's what the situation you might be in if you're a second half team and not a first half team.
Well, here's the thing.
You allow the other team to bunker then. You makes everything you're doing second half harder.
Sure, that may be true. They have had moments where, and Honduras is an example of this, where they fell behind and then had to come back in the second half. But generally what we're seeing is a team that's pretty defensively sound that doesn't give up goals in the first half and then turns on the Jets attacking-wise in the second half. Which is fine. I mean, really, that's okay. Again, it's not perfect. It's not the ideal. It's just a thing. All right, let's talk Jamaica before we get to something else we want to throw out here. A little fun, little emotional release after, if I can say that. Can I say that on the show? Emotional release after everything we've been through. Before we get to that, looking at Jamaica, we talked about 5,000 people in the stands. Looks like that's going to be the case. Although after what happened in El Salvador, who knows how many fans are going to be in the building?
Yeah.
It's a 5 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. Is this like a nod to being as hot as possible? Is that what they're trying to do? Maybe put the United States in a steamy environment?
They're at the office. You have to be at the office by 5 p.m. It's
that's your dad joke for the evening? All right, man.
Danger zone!
Not bad. Okay.
Listen, I'm not sure what it is. That is a pretty early. I mean, that's a the duality of those two games between a 9 p.m. Eastern kickoff and a 5 p.m.
I'm still tired. Friday is still kicking my ass right now.
I took a 2-hour nap today, dude, like old man style. Like just it wasn't a choice. It just happened.
Okay. So Mikel Antonio scored the goal against El Salvador to salvage the draw, right? Was it El Salvador? Is that the game I'm thinking of? They scored first. El Salvador scored late through Alex Rodan. Is that the one? All right. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay. So, but Mikel Antonio scored their goal coming off the bench, if I'm not mistaken, right? He did not start in that game. And we had heard that he was going to be held out, or at least held in reserve in terms of not starting, to be better prepared for the United States. So we can expect Mikel Antonio to be on the field from the start against the United States. That certainly makes them more dangerous. Leon Bailey picked up a yellow card. Think he's still available. He did play start in that game. He came off in that game. I don't know if he came off for Antonio or for whom, but Corey Burke also came onto the field at some point. They started Shamar Nicholson up top. He's a fine player. He's not the one that scares me, though. What is it
Leon
about
Bailey scares me.
Leon Bailey scares you. Mikel Antonio scares you. He has to.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know what the field's going to be like. I think that's something in Jamaica that sometimes you have to worry about is what's the office going to be like. I love the fact that they're not going to have a full stadium. I think that works to the U.S.'s advantage. I think the U.S., the one thing they've done well through qualifying is being defensively sound. Now, they're being asked to do that without their best center back, or at least recently, most best center back.
Do we expect Zimmerman to start, by the way? Is there any doubt about that? Okay.
Absolutely. I think the question is the other guy, and I think it's going to be Chris Richards. You could see Berhalter go with Mark McKenzie because he's played big games for Berhalter in the past.
I think what we've seen from Richards, and look, he did have a dicey moment against Costa Rica. It could have gone either way. It didn't get called a penalty. Maybe he got lucky. But what I think we've seen from Chris Richards is that, scrambling sort of emergency defending is a reasonably strong part of his game, and you're going to need that against Jamaica, right? I mean, obviously, you don't want to turn the ball over in midfield. If you do, well, you better have somebody who can get on a horse and go chase somebody down, right?
You speak of horse, and I don't mean to beat a dead one because this is something I talk about all the time, but I really think that if Zimmerman is playing, you have to have the speed next to him, and that's what works with he and Miles Robinson. You have one guy that does one thing, one guy that does another, and that's what Chris Richards gives you. And I think Nick and I may have talked about it on Friday a little bit. Mark McKenzie does everything decently. But he's not a specialist at any one thing, in my opinion. Whereas Walker Zimmerman is a specialist in the air. Miles Robinson is a specialist with his speed. Chris Richards is maybe not a specialist with speed, but I think he's a specialist with his ball at his feet. They have things that are tangibly the best in camp.
This is a good question, right? Because Richards is the athletic option. McKenzie is the physical option. McKenzie is the bigger dude, and he is a big dude. So if you're worried about battling up there, if you're trying to take on whether it's Nicholson or Corey Burke is in there to hold down the point for them, if you've got battles, maybe you're looking for that. I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be Richards too, but yeah.
I think what it comes down to is how do we think the game will be played? I think this game is going to be played similar to the Mexico game, and I think the U.S. is going to have a decent amount of the ball. I don't think that Jamaica is going to be. I think it's going to be a back and forth game. I don't think they're going to be. The U.S. is going to be in their final third, just clinging to a half court set, just trying to hold off. I think there's going to be a back and forth here. So I'm more looking for how did Mexico unlock the U.S.? At the midfield with a ball in behind. That's the way that Mexico is having success. And if that's the way we think the game's going to be played again, then I want Chris Richards in there because that's where he's going to be most helpful, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. Mexico's best chances came on those moments when the U.S. was stretched, when they had pushed up. I mean, there are a couple of. I think DeAndre Yedlin had a pretty good game against Mexico. I don't think he was. You really can't criticize him all that much, but he did have a couple of moments where he got caught upfield and they needed to scramble. He obviously made the run to at least try to challenge Lozano on that chance in the first half that we're talking about with Stephen going down to his left. You have Leon Bailey, as you mentioned, and he's likely to line up on the same side as Anthony Robinson, who had a stinker on the ball against Mexico. I don't know, defensively, was he that much of a liability? I mean, Tecatito Corona, he did Tecatito stuff, but I don't know that I picked out Anthony Robinson as culpable.
I talked about it with Nick a little bit. Here's the thing about Anthony Robinson. I think that people don't necessarily get, and that's he's got a different partner in front of him than what Yedlin's being given. In Brendan Aronson, you have a guy that is just constantly pressing, which is amazing. But when he gets beat on that press, Anthony Robinson constantly has two guys running at him. And that is a tough thing defensively when Aronson when the pressure is broken. Andy Robinson's being asked to play between two attackers, and that really makes it look like he's in a bad position or something like that. But he's getting put in that position by Brendan Aronson. I don't think they should change that. But the question then becomes: is Pulisic ready for 90 minutes? And is it going to be Brendan Aronson in front, or is it going to be Pulisic?
I think it's going to be Aronson. I mean, barring something, as somebody said, Greg getting cute. Barring that, I think it's going to be Aronson. I think the question is.
And I think what Aronson brings with that pressure on the ball, you saw what that did to Mexico's plan of attack. He didn't create any kind of any turnovers or anything like that with that press, but that press forced Mexico to start from almost the end line at times and just kick it upfield, and that's what he gives you in that.
Yeah, and that was obviously the game plan. Do you think that they can go into the office and use the press the same way against Jamaica? I mean, Jamaica's not willing. Jamaica is not going to even try. They're going to go play the ball over the top and then look for
They're happy to go direct. They're absolutely happy to go direct. So I think maybe you do go for a more block scenario when you force them to break.
And you don't have McKennie to win balls in the air if they're going to go over the top of that pressing line.
McKennie on set pieces is a big deal too. No one's really talking about that.
That's a good point. Although you put Richards in and you think you get a little bit more of a weapon. Well, you lose the Miles Robinson set piece weapon too.
I don't know if Brendan Aronson knows how to not press, to be honest with you. That's here's the thing. I just thought about this. I think you see Paul Arriola in this game starting.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
And I think people don't want to hear that. I think you see Paul Arriola in this game just because of what we were just talking about.
Again, Tim Weah was the right choice against Mexico, very clearly. But I could see having Arriola do what he does, run at Jamaica, pin them back a little bit. Obviously they're going to put players behind the ball. They're going to try to counter. But if you don't let them get upfield and you have Arriola making life hell with those runs that he does, well, then maybe bringing Weah in as a later option, as a game-changing option off the bench. I mean, again, you'll have Pulisic on the bench. Don't know what his potential role is going to be. But you could look at it that way. I think this is the kind of game. And again, nobody wants to hear this either. This is the kind of game where the United States is going to be absolutely fine if it's 70 minutes in and it's 0-0. They'll be absolutely fine with that.
That's also just what the U.S. does. Let's be honest.
That's true. That's true. And that's when you hit the switch.
And
we
that's
feel
when Christian
comfortable
Pulisic
about maybe
comes in.
walking this home for a point. Let's get somebody on the field and go win the thing for us and get 3. Yeah.
All right, so Daniel's saying run the same starting lineup back, Busio for McKennie, and Richards for Miles. And I think that's what most people are looking for in this. I don't know if Tim Weah starts the game again. Like I said, I think Greg likes to go pragmatic on the road. But we also saw what happens in the Panama game when you do too many changes between games. And I think Berhalter's going to be conscious of that this time around. Do you think Scally sees the starting lineup, or is Yedlin good for another 90?
No. I mean, the fact that Scally did not dress against Mexico says a lot about how Berhalter's bringing him along. And I think that's okay. Like, I know everybody's anxious to see Joe Scally, but I don't know that we are so desperate for right back help that you have to throw that kid in there. Let him see what's going down. Let him get a visit to the office. Let him, watch the Mexico game without having to be worried about getting up and getting ready. I am okay with that.
And listen,
you still have Reggie Cannon in there too.
Is this the only 2-game window? Is this the only one?
Only one.
This is your only chance to kind of put guys out back to back. Take advantage of it. Like make the changes you have to make, suspensions, and just run the guys out there and keep with what's working.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Okay, we're going to be back on the air on Tuesday night, immediately following Jamaica, United States. That game again, 5 p.m. Eastern time. So look for us around 7 o'clock Eastern time on YouTube, on Twitch, on Twitter,
Jason,
wherever we are.
How can they know exactly when we go online?
Oh, they click the little bell thing. You always talk about the bell, and then the bell gets you a notification that you've been that you got a show happening. There's the bell. Okay, how many bells can I hit? Subscribe. Please subscribe to the Best Soccer Show on YouTube. And by the way, shout out to Sam from Yank Report, who's been hanging out, watching the show and in the chat. Obviously, people are watching Yank Report. Go sign up for Sam's show too. Let's do a complete turn. Let's forget all this national team stuff for a little while. Let's be us for a little while here. Let's be us. If you know anything about this show, that you know that Jared DuBois loves himself a good trivia game. Now, he always comes up with the ideas for the games, and then he has to prep them, and then he doesn't get to play. This time around, he conceived of the game, but passed on the preparation duties to our man, Nikki Soup and Sausage, who's going to join us now.
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Get ready to play a very fun game. I do have this.
God, I love this so much, and there's so many people in the audience that have no idea what this is.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's go ahead and fade that. People don't know match game music for the entire thing.
I'm calling the name of this game is called Career Year. So nice. the concept for this is.
By the way, real quick, just because this is so good. Shout out to Steve. Happy hour after the office. That's what's happening on Tuesday night.
Oh, bravo, Steve.
Our show should be called Happy Hour after the office.
I think that's what he's saying. Okay.
Oh, I thought you meant the actual game. Sorry. Okay. Let's see. Okay, game Career Year, and what this is going to be is Nick is going to give us the name of a either US, MLS, or he could give us any player. Honestly, he's going to give us the name of a player, and what we're going to do is Jason and I are going to take turns going first, and we are going to name a year of that person's career. So if we were to say, actually, I shouldn't say a name because that might really. Listen, I'm going to go something he will not do. Let's say we did. Okay, yeah, Nick, give us an example.
I'll give you the example. Let's just say I named Eric Winalda.
Okay.
Right? So you have to give me a year, and then however many goals he scored in that year applies to your tally. So let's say Jason gives the year 1997, and Eric Winalda scored 6 goals. Well, Jason gets 6 points.
Right. I'm aiming for his highest year. Yeah.
Right. Jared says 1996, and Eric Winalda scored, I don't know what the number is, 10 goals. Then Jared would get 10 points. Make sense?
Very easy.
Yes. I think that's good. Yeah.
Most points wins, and we're alternating who goes first.
All right.
How many rounds are we playing?
I've got 10 players.
We'll see how fast it goes. We'll make the call.
Let's see. Okay.
So to determine who's going to go first, I'm going to put a number 1.
I got to turn off the chat. Jared, you have to turn off the chat.
Yeah, you got to turn
no monitoring the chat.
Oh, I'll put I have the private chat up. I have the private chat up.
I am too. Honor system. Okay.
So number 1 or 2
Nick
behind
or Morgan
my back.
need to run if there's anything good in the chat to put on the screen.
Yeah. All right, Jason, I've got a 1 or a
Yes.
2 behind my back. What do you think is behind my back?
I think a 2 is behind your back,
Oh,
Nicholas.
he is
Soup and
right.
sausage.
So do you want to go
All right.
first or second?
Piss off.
I absolutely want to go first. I mean,
Okay.
in this round, who knows?
All right. Your first player, a player near and dear to one Jared DuBois' heart,
Ooh, here we go.
Landon Donovan.
Oh,
Okay, by the way,
get out
we
of
should
here.
we should say that it's club goals only. International
club
goals
goals.
do not count. Only
Do
what
not
they did for
count.
their club season, club team that year.
Okay. I'm gonna. This is the easy. I don't know if this is his best year, but I'm gonna say 2011. That's just the easy year to pick for the Galaxy.
Okay, so I'm going back and forth because do you want a year with Robbie Keane was there?
Yeah,
because
that's the thing.
they're
The goals
prolific,
get
but
shared.
who's getting the
Yeah.
goals? You know, so
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit the other way.
Can we get assist tallied in here too? Can we get through?
No.
All right.
Go a bit of a direction on this, and I may even go back to the Earthquakes, but let's see. Now I'm going to go with. Let's see, Hercules Gomez was 2005. That was his first year. He stole a lot of the goals from the year they won the MLS Cup. Carlos Ruiz is gone by then. I'm going to go 2006, the year before Beckham got there.
Ooh, it was 2006.
Okay.
Way back.
So 2000, you're going with 2006.
I know. I went for a good Galaxy year. I'm not sure that was
You
a
did.
good Donovan
Great
year.
Galaxy year.
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as the best year for Landon Donovan, neither one of you got it. His career year was 2008 when he scored 20 goals
Wow.
for the LA
okay.
Galaxy.
Yeah.
Jason, though, you said 2011.
Yeah.
That year, Landon Donovan scored 12 goals.
Okay.
Not
That's
bad.
not terrible.
Not bad.
I'll take
Jared, you said 2006. And in that
Oh, I
year,
picked a World Cup year. He missed games for the World Cup year.
and that year, not only did he have 3 assists, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong column. He also had 12 goals. So you both are tied.
okay.
after
I
the
should
first
not have
round.
picked a World Cup year. That was bad on my part. I didn't think about the fact he missed games probably for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Matching up, number one. All right, let's do it.
All right. So, Jared, you
Yes.
are first in round 2 here. And we're going to hit the Wayback Machine again.
I'm down for it.
This time, I want you to guess the career year of one Ante Razov.
Okay.
Oh my!
I actually was thinking about this one.
Man.
Okay. Now, do I want to go the fantastic Ante Razov, Damani Ralph, amazing year? I'm not gonna say it out loud because if I don't go with that, I don't know if Jason knows what year that is.
This is taxing my knowledge. I wasn't paying that.
Okay,
much
Ante Razov for a
MLS.
time was the third highest goal scorer in MLS, I
Yeah.
think, at one point.
Yeah, he was in there.
Man, I'm going to go with 2003 because that's the Damani Ralph year that they were really good, but I just don't know how many goals Ralph kind of took from him in that year.
What year did you say, Jared?
2003.
Okay.
An
Jared?
amazing year for the Chicago Fire offensively.
There were some years when Ante was basically all Chivas had, right? There were
Agreed.
some years. I know
Agreed.
Juan Pablo landed out there. I know they had Cubo Torres at the tail end of the. I think Ante had already retired. Man, I'm just gonna pick a middle in a number towards the end of the aughts and say 2007 for Ante Razov.
You could be good with that. You could be. There's a time where Chivas really needed him.
All right. So, to give you an idea, yes, currently right now, Ante Razov sits 7th in the MLS all-time.
Yeah, pushed down the last
scoring
couple
list.
years. Yeah, but he was up there for a while. Yeah.
His career year in Major League Soccer was the year 2000 when he scored 18
early.
goals for the Chicago Fire,
The
along
Chicago
with
Fire,
6
yeah.
assists.
Dang it.
In 2003, Ante Razov scored 14 goals, Jared.
That's a good number.
That's a good
That's a good
number.
number. How many
I'm in
assists that
trouble.
year? How many assists that year?
He probably slowed down too.
In 2003, he had 6 assists.
Nicely done. That's a good year.
Okay.
It's a good year.
Jared, or Jason, you said 2007, a Chivas USA
Too
year
late.
for Ante
Too late.
Razov.
Chivas
Should've gone
USA,
Fire.
known for their offense.
Should have gone.
Scored-
Yeah, right. Should have gone for the Fire
Scored-
year.
He had 8 assists. Still a damn good year. But he only scored 11 goals that year.
That's what I'm talking about. 3-point
I'm,
lead.
I'm 3 down. Okay.
All right.
We just have to. Are we doing this as a net thing? Or are we totaling up these numbers? Because I
Got
can't
total,
do that math.
total, right?
Total,
I got
total.
the. I'm keeping track here. Don't you?
Yeah, but I mean,
Nick
you could also
posted
just
this bad boy.
express it as -3 for Jason.
Nikki
right now,
Soup
but
and
that's fine.
statistics.
Oh yeah, Jared currently on top right now. He's leading 26-23. Okay, round
Jason's first.
number
All right.
3. Jason, you are first. Let's go to a man who's not shy to express his opinion on TV. He's got a famous drop we like to play all the time here on this show. Let's go with Taylor Twellman.
Oh, jeez.
What
I
are
was
we
thinking about
doing?
this one today, too. I was thinking about this one today, too. I have a number in my head. Don't take it. I have a number that I want so bad. I dare you to take his Germany years.
No, yeah, that'd be funny.
1860? Is that where he was at? 1860?
I'm gonna say, man, I got to figure out how deep to go. And what was his first year?
Don't you take my number. Don't you
2005.
take my number.
I'm just gonna go 2005.
Dang it! Oh my God, Jason!
I have to go 2005 because that's the year that got him to the point where he would have been a World Cup player. Except
I
Ryan
absolutely agree, and they also lost to the Galaxy in the finals that year. I'm almost positive that's his best year, but God dang it!
It helps to go first. Now you got to find the second best year.
I tried to make it so you could write down your years, but you didn't want to play.
He lined up. No, because I like the
I like it better this way. I'm frustrated now.
He's mad at
okay,
me.
in that case, I'm going to go 1 year before that and just to try to get close to it, because I think 2006, once again, World Cup year, wasn't selected. I know he wasn't selected. That was the big thing. He wasn't selected. I'm not sure how that played out to him. I'm going to go 2004.
Okay. All right. So the name of the game is career year. And in 2002, Taylor Twellman scored the most goals of his Major League Soccer career with 23.
That was
that's a huge
that was like
year.
his second year in the league or something
First
like
year
that?
in the league.
His first year, he scored 23 goals. I knew he scored a bunch of goals in one of his first couple years.
Yep.
Wow, okay.
So in 2004, Jared, Taylor Twellman scored 9 goals.
Ooh,
Was he
that's
injured?
rough.
His third
How many
lowest
games did he
total
play?
in
How
his
many games did he
career.
play that season?
23.
7
23
games
games,
off. He was injured.
9
Man,
goals.
dang
He
it. That's not good.
must have had an injury or something.
In 2005,
yeah,
Taylor Twellman scored 17 goals.
Hey!
I told you I wanted 2005. God dang it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
takes
I'll
a
take all
big
of those. I will take all of those.
Man, I wonder how many starts he had that year, that he might even come back from some injury at some point. Because he was, what, you said 23 games that year?
23 games.
That's 7 games he missed. Had to be injury.
some
God
reason.
dang it.
Yep.
So Jason pulls ahead. He now leads 40 to 35 after
That's
3
a
rounds.
big swing. Dang it.
Big swing.
All right, Jared, you're up next here in round 4.
Round 4. We might play 5 rounds. I think 5 rounds might be.
Oh, now he's got a 5-point lead.
It's
No, it's good. You're
okay.
good.
Fine.
You're
You want to
good.
go
No, it's
deep
fine.
into
It's
the
fine. It's
night?
fine.
We
It's
could
fine.
carry it
Five's
over.
good.
We can
Five's
carry
good.
over to the bonus show. We
Man.
can carry it
Carry
over.
the bonus show.
That would be
I
no
got
payoff for
some
all
good
the regular
names here
listeners.
too. I'm going to have a hard time just. Oh man. Okay. For the main show here, let's go with Jason Kreis.
Okay. My turn?
Jason
To go
Kreis,
first?
the eighth on the list in Major League Soccer in total
For a
goals.
long time, number 1. And it's, I'm
yes,
first
you're
this time?
first, Jared. Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm going to go 1998.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to. Oh, okay. Okay.
No, can I change it? I'm sorry. I want to go 99.
No, you locked it up. You locked it in. I'm taking 99. That was the money. You're probably gonna be fine. Just so you know. I don't think there's a big. I don't
Yeah.
think it's gonna be a huge swing though. I think it was
Yeah.
pretty consistent.
So, Jared, you said 98.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. And Jared or Jason, you said 99.
99. Yeah. Party like
Okay.
it's 1999. Let's do this.
All right. So, in 1998, for the Dallas Burn, Jason Kreis scored 9 goals in 1998.
Rough.
In 1999, Jason Kreis had his career year with 18 goals.
I told you I said the wrong one. I don't know why I said 98. I meant to do 99.
Oh man, this might be okay. We can go as many rounds as you need now.
No, we can do one more.
All right,
let's do one more round.
Since Jared's behind,
you're gonna have to find a way to build in some bonus here or something, because unless you got a major swing.
So here's how we'll play this. Since Jared is
Okay.
behind, I'm going to give you a list of the 6 remaining players I've got pulled up here, and I will
And I can
let
pick the
you
one?
pick the player, Jared.
I like this wrinkle. That's a
Okay.
good wrinkle.
All right. let's
So
do it.
you have the option of Brian McBride,
No.
Clint Dempsey, Charlie Davies, Stern John,
Stern John.
Brian
Wrong
Ching,
answer for sure, John.
Brian Ching, or Chris Wondolowski, MLS's all-time leading goal scorer and just recently retired?
The gameplay moves to go Stern John because there's really only 1 year.
Oh well, I guess that's true. Okay, yeah, that's true.
No,
you're right.
Nick,
I could if you pick
but it's
Wando,
career year. It's wherever he went after this as well. So his wherever goals he had the most.
Sure,
but
it's not just MLS.
I'll go Stern John because this is my only chance, and I'll go
Jared.
1996.
All right. I don't remember Stern John's career enough to know that where he went, how it went after he left.
Here's the thing: he spent time in some lower leagues in the US too. He could have like a 30-goal season in an indoor league or something like that. For all I know, I
don't think indoor goals count, do they? Are we doing
it's professional? If it's professional,
nah,
career
come on,
year.
they got like 3-point lines.
Okay, outdoor only. Let's do outdoor only.
Stern John.
You said 96, Jared?
I said 96.
Yeah, the move is to either go possibly before. No, you know what?
He went to England from there, right?
I'm not going to. So this is strategy for me. If his biggest year was 90, if you believe that 96 was his biggest year, and I'm going to follow you on that. If I believe that you're right on that, then 97 is my move because he would have to have had a massive drop off for me to lose this game.
I think his first year, his 1 year was in 96. I
actually don't think you're right about
it. It could be
this.
98 now that I think about it, but
I think you might be wrong about this. That's what I'm thinking. I don't think it was 96. Roy Lassiter was the man in 96. I think Stern John's year was 98.
But you went in 97.
I did. Well, let's just stick it with what I picked because I did that to you earlier. I'm not moving
right,
it.
okay.
I'm just.
So unless
or
my
99.
source
Might have been 99.
Unless my source of information is incorrect here.
I doubt
According to the notes here, Stern John did not play in 96.
He wasn't with Columbus. Yeah,
That's right.
He wasn't
but
there yet.
Did he play professionally that year?
Well, not according to Wikipedia.
He didn't
There's
come out as a
nothing.
rookie.
His first in the club section of his Wikipedia page, it starts in 98 with the Columbus Crew.
I said 98 might be the other one. Dang it. So does Jason have anything for 97?
There's nothing on here. The first year is 98. So you both
what
got
was it,
0.
98, by the way? What was the number?
Wait a second.
That's what I'm saying. Unless my source here is incorrect, and
What are you looking at?
Wikipedia.
What are you
I'm
looking
on
at?
Stern John's Wikipedia page.
Well, he played in the USISL, which was the precursor of the USL. He played before he went to Columbus. He played for the New Orleans Storm, is what
You
it
can
says
find those years. I'm just
here. No,
telling
that's
you what
the problem is that it doesn't have them by yeah.
Is NISL an indoor team though?
No, USISL was like just a word, like a mashup of all these leagues that
There's
came
also
together.
the Carolina Dynamo.
Yeah, I've heard
played
about
for
them
97.
too. Yeah.
Now I'm
All right,
looking at
in
his
the end,
side.
all
his
that matters
side
is that
panel.
I pulled a blank basically, and Jason,
So should we go to another name?
So just to back you up here, Nikki, if you go over to FB Ref, which I trust most of the time, they don't start until Columbus in 98 either. So we're just going to have to go with that. Yeah.
That's the hard part is remembering what year some of these things were.
But by the way, that means both of us whiffed. We zeroed on that. Both
we
of us.
whiffed, and Jason's the winner.
98 was the year that you wanted. And if
And
you
how
had
many
said
goals
90,
was that?
26.
God dang it.
Now, here's the thing, though. I would have done the same move. If you said 98, I would say 99. He scored 18 in 99. So I would have been fine. You would have netted out eight goals, but I would have been fine with my lead.
Man, I could not remember the year. Forgot. Dang it.
He went on to Nottingham Forest. He scored 13 in his first year at Nottingham Forest, which, by the way, European, it would complicate a little bit. You'd have to be like 2001, 2002 would be the year that you pick instead of, a single calendar year. But he scored double digits a couple more times. 19 goals in 2007, 2008 for Southampton in the championship.
By the way, in the future, I think if we did do that, we would pick whatever year the season started in as the year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nikki, thank you for hosting the game, buddy.
That was brilliant, dude.
I got beat at my own game.
Yeah, you did. I will
What
say
can you do?
these if we decide to do this in the Bono show, maybe. I don't know. We still have a
Might
couple
get through a
players we didn't
couple.
go through.
Might get through a
Yeah.
couple.
Sure, we'll figure it out. Thank you, Nicholas Soup and Sausage. Thank you. There it goes. All right, that probably brings us to the end of the program here. Obviously, we're always all looking forward to Tuesday night and potentially 6 points for the United States men's national team. I nothing's guaranteed there, Jared, but it is obviously potentially the window that will give us real confidence that this group is on their way to Qatar in 2022. And I didn't even bother with DEF CON tonight because I know it's going to be a 1 for pretty much everybody. We'll have another chance after the Jamaica game to talk about that, depending on what that result is and the performance. Because I think there's also a measure. It's a measure of Berhalter that he came into this window in the first game against Mexico, all prepared, ready to go, right? They had spent, the coaching staff had spent a month getting ready for this game. Now, they only had a couple training sessions, and, that's tough for everybody, but they got these kids ready, and they played really well. You got to judge him in the second game when he's got to make some adjustments, or maybe he has to rotate a player or two, or in this case, he's got players suspended. He hasn't yet really put together 2 good games in a row that we've seen from this team, right?
Absolutely fair. So that's going to be the biggest test. And like I said, I want them to come out with big DK energy, even though he's not there. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
how
your
can
top
you have
team,
big DK energy if DK is?
Yeah, I'm just trying to say the correct.
If your DK is way over there, if you don't have your DK with you, your DK is over there.
Maybe your DK is long enough, makes it all the way to Jamaica.
Reminded me of a song from the '90s that was terrible. Anyway, go ahead.
So I want them to play like the top team in CONCACAF. That's all I want. I want you to go into Jamaica and show that you're there to win, not to steal a point away. That's the difference between where the U.S. has been and where I want them to go.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right. If you want the bonus content, well, maybe we're going to play career year. Maybe we'll do some other stuff. There's all kinds of stuff happening over there. Patreon.com/thebestsoccershow. A couple bucks a month. You get bonus show access. You get Slack access. We'll be putting together some other stuff, through the end of the year and into 2022. What else, Jared? What else?
That's about it, guys. Yeah, take part in the Patreon. Yeah, subscribe.
Reviews.
Follow us on,
I don't know if Nick prepared any. No reviews tonight. Okay, so go over to Apple Podcasts and give us a review, and we read it on the show if you haven't done that. Anything else?
Will say that Morgan wants to make sure we hit the socials. We got to make sure we hit the socials for our girl Morgan, who did a fantastic job representing Best Soccer Show at Cincinnati.
She made lemonade out of. How does that go? She made
lemonade
out of lemons. Is that what she did? Is that how that goes? I don't say stuff like that. I'm not that corny, so I don't know how's it goes.
You look like you don't have dad jokes. Get out of here.
I got dad jokes. I got dad jokes for days. Morgan did a great job in Cincinnati. We thank her. Bestie Soccer on Twitter. The Best Soccer Show on Instagram. Super easy over there on the Instagram, and Bestie Soccer on Twitter because the name's too long and for Twitter, I guess. Okay, is that it? Are we done? We good?
Days.
Okay, we'll see you guys again Tuesday night, immediately following Jamaica, United States. We'll see you then. Bye.
Get to the chopper!
Damn, dog. In the ropes. What are we doing?
Oh, baby! Who asked those questions? It was their fault. Here we go. Saucing them up. Hit them. What?
Go to DEF CON 2.
Oh, it's incredible!
The Sausage King of Chicago.
Danger zone!
Calm down, Greg. It's soccer. It's soccer.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately?
Jay Rodius.